A lick of purple flame dances around the wizard's hand. He's almost playing with it between his fingers as his cloak billows in the sea breeze, waiting for the perfect moment to throw the bolt and catch the most enemies within its explosion. Black ink fills the warlock's eyes as they call upon their patron to grant them a portion of their power and feel their body empowered with arcane magic. Drawing upon the nature of that which is around them, the druid feels their body begin to shift as they transform into a mighty creature, ready to pounce on those who would challenge them. And clutching onto a holy symbol, the cleric asks for their deity to guide their hand and grant them protection and strength in the coming battle. They're all drawing on power from the world around them to create amazing and devastating magic. For the greater good, maybe, or just because they can. Either way, this is going to be chaotic.
It's episode 8.
Oh my god, we're nearly into double figures.
Yay.
Yeah.
Pine, do you want to hear a joke?
I always want to hear a joke.
Well, that's a shame because you're going to hear 3.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? They even roll into each other because I'm that smart.
Smart.
What did the courier say when asked what his favourite armour type was?
I don't know.
I'm a mailman. Get it? Because he's a mailman. It's hilarious. On that topic, why do paladins and clerics wear chainmail?
I don't know.
Because it's holy armour.
For fuck's sake.
What do paladins do when the incoming firebolts get too hot? They turn up their AC. Don't we just love jokes, everyone?
God damn it. I do actually have one. I'm going to claim that I came up with it. I didn't. I found it. But I got another. I do have one.
Go on then.
What do ice giants use as their favourite weapon?
Don't know.
An ice sickle.
No idea if that came through Discord, but I was clapping.
It didn't, and it was just silence on my end. I was like, I've tanked already.
It's really annoying that Discord has got too good with its AI voice detection that it just doesn't detect any other noise.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. One of my favourite things about this podcast is we always say, are we ready? We're ready, let's go. What we've never done is thought in advance of what our vehicle is going to be for transferring between sections, so we have to come with it on the spot every time. What's it going to be today?
We're going to ride on a magical black and purple fox.
I dig it.
Yeah.
For context, Pine here has always loved foxies, as I've come to call them, and keeps sending me memes and GIFs and TikToks of them, and has made me fall in love with as well. And then bought me a little fox plushie from Minecraft for my birthday, and I love it.
Yay, I'm glad you love it.
So yeah, thanks to Pine, I'm now obsessed with foxes. Yay, black and purple fox thing.
Yay.
To the next section. What are we talking about today?
Talking about everything magical.
I love the magic.
I do love the magic. We're both.
I've got the magic in me.
We're both magic names.
Yes, all the magic, which is hilarious because I was like, for my second character, I did loads of magic for my first character. Let's go no magic for my second. I don't regret it, but also I miss magic.
I do enjoy playing my non-magic caster, which is, well, my non-caster, Amnesty. Love her, she's great, but I do sometimes miss the chaos that comes with spells.
I would like to cast Fireball.
Firebard.
Shout out to XP level 3 for just instilling that meme in my brain as soon as I got into D&D. But yes, magic. And we're going to be talking about different interactions of spells that might not come up too much. We're going to be talking about favorite spell combos. We're going to be talking about the power word spells. Ooh. And we're going to be ending on a little teaser for a little homebrew idea I had a couple of weeks ago that me and Pine are going to work on eventually.
Yes.
So let's take it away. Starting with Counterspell.
Counterspell is a fun spell to use as a player or as a PC because a player or a PC, a player or a DM, because of the reaction you get from it.
People, it's so easy to forget it exists unless you're already there about to cast it yourself. So as soon as a DM or a player goes, I cast Counterspell, you're just like, fuck! You didn't plan on that.
Yeah.
But one interaction I've always wanted to see, but we haven't quite got there yet because we're still fairly low level in all the campaigns I play, is just a chain of counterspells. So like one guy casts Fireball as the obvious choice because memes. And then someone's like, I cast Counterspell. Oh, I counter their Counterspell. Well, I counter their Counterspell. And I always thought that'd be funny to see, which, maybe it will happen. I only think there's only 2 of us who can learn it. What spell list is it in? Counter spell. Let's find out.
Yeah.
It is in Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard.
Okay.
Which means in your campaign, only 2 of us can cast it.
Yes.
Unless there's a feat involving mixing spell lists. So what's that? A maximum chain of like 4? I'll say 5 then. I suppose it could be 5 if you as a DM started the first one.
Yeah.
So we cast a spell, you counterspell, I counterspell, you counterspell, Gimlet counterspells, and you counterspell.
Oh, God.
But yeah, we both had a very similar idea actually when writing the sort of notes for this episode. When you first put down counterspell, I was immediately like in my head, I wonder if you could use like the wild magic table just as a fun interaction. If you try to counterspell a counterspell, like the chaos, the weave just gets confused and spits out a random effect. And I went to the note page to type that down, and you'd already written it, and I was like, what?
There is quite a few discussions about it online that I've seen and made notes of because I think it would be really fun. Mechanically, there's nothing about any effects on written about counterspelling a counterspell, but just for the fun of it, and affecting the weave, and like you said, having the arcane magics in the area getting confused, and wild magic effect coming through from it would be funny.
Or even better, just like you roll with what the spell's meant to do, but it just malfunctions in a weird way instead of being completely countered. Or again, going with memes, say someone casts Fireball and I counter the Fireball and someone counters my counter. What if the Fireball instead just goes off between the 2 people who countered it, like perfectly in the middle?
Yeah, well, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. You could either do roll from the wild magic table or make your own table specifically for it. So you say that's a possibility. But also, if you've counterspelled the counterspell, then is the first spell not affected, and the wild magic happen between the 2 casters themselves? So could it be something like you've got a contest between the 2 counterspell people, like spellcasting check, and the weaker one gets blasted backwards or something?
Lots of opportunities for imagination there that, don't have to be written as rules. They can just be like whimsical fun things. Yeah, and on a similar topic of using the same spell at the same time, I worded that terribly. Take it away, Pine.
So we got talking about counterspell versus counterspell, and then because you guys have used suggestion recently.
Me in particular, because I learned it, and I was like, I love this spell, I'm going to use it all the time. I've used it 3 times in one session I've known it. Or 2 sessions, I can't remember.
What happens if you suggest someone who's already had these suggestion spell put under them? If they're conflicting or could you fulfill both? Or would one spell overtake the other spell?
You do one and then the other, which may just undo the first one. Or my favourite solution, which you probably also thought of, is you know how when Harry and Voldemort, Goblet of Fire, Wizdy Wizdy Woo cast spells at each other, and then it's like a battle of wills as the whole Brother One thing goes off, and the golden orb is pushed between them. Obviously, you don't have to go with that theatrical. You could describe it like that if you want, but like mechanically, just do like a charisma contest to see who has the stronger will between the two casters of suggestion, and whichever one wins is the one that stays active. I like that solution.
Yeah,
that sounds fun to me. Not because I just want someone to go, oh my, nothing to do with suggestion. Never mind. Yeah, what other things like there's other things as well, like command, which is just one word.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like command versus suggestion, or vice versa. Well, I can't remember what the higher level ones are.
You could have the effects on different things as well. Like, for example, you've got the Bane spell, which makes people have to subtract a 1d4 from their roll, and the Bless spell, which lets people add a 1d4 to their roll.
Oh.
So would you cancel those out? Like,
no, don't cancel them out. Roll both.
Roll both, yeah.
I much prefer rolling both, because you might get really lucky on one and really unlucky on the other. Or unlucky on both, and then you'd add a 1 but subtract a 4 or whatever. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, you could also, if you're talking about side effects of counterspelling and counterspell, if you're baned and blessed at the same time, that could have some side effects.
Baned and blessed. You have been visited by the blessed Bane. Oh yeah, that's. I hadn't thought about that. Have you got any other? Are there any others in your mind that can have conflicting results like that?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh damn! I should have done more research for this.
Concentration ones.
Twisting. I like. That sounds fun. I want that to happen. Can we make that happen?
Potentially. Depends whether you fight people.
I've made Bless one of my main spells in Spelljammer, so Danny, it's up to you. Get someone casting Bane. Lotus will cast Bless, and then we'll have some fun.
Okay. We will have been having fun anyway, but, extra fun.
Nah, if this doesn't happen, I will have 0 fun. just calling it now. That's how you get DMs to do what you want. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
more spells. Give me more spells.
Well, I was going to say, on the flip side, you've got spells that would help each other, boost each other.
Synergy.
We've got the one that I wrote down in the main one, which if you've got something like water, I think it's water sphere, and then casting Ray of Frost or Cone of Cold or something on that, having it like the water sphere solidify or have icicles in it.
It just turns from I'm going to get wet to I'm in danger. The boulder of ice just barrels you down like a 10-pin bowling pin.
Yeah.
Dang. Ow, that hurt. That does feel like it hurts now that I think about it. Or even better, the Ray of Frost one. Imagine you shoot Ray of Frost through the sphere and like the rays become icicle spears. And you're just like impaling people with icicle spears instead. That's one way to turn magic stuff into piercing damage, I guess. It'd be fun to have to come up with that sort of stuff on the spot.
Yeah.
Or even stuff that isn't spells. What if you had I think it's the same fire spear or sphere of fire, I can't remember what it's called, and then just had a ranger or anyone with a bow shoot like gasoline covered arrows through it.
Oh yeah,
to make your arrows fire arrows.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, now I'm thinking of more homebrew spells. Like this is kind of getting into one of the later topics, but have you ever played Overwatch?
I once.
They added a character not too long before I last played. I haven't played in years. Who is a support character who has like this. He creates this grid thing, which is like a rectangle that holds in midair. And if your allies shoot through that grid, it makes your bullets do more damage. Okay. So I'm thinking you could have a similar thing where you create like a portal-y thing that doesn't actually lead anywhere. It's not a way of traveling anywhere. But it's just like if you shoot a projectile through it, that projectile gains like force damage on top of its normal damage or something. They are homebrewing a spell on the spot. Don't know how you balance it. I'm not good at balancing. I just come up with ideas. I'm an ideas guy, but that's besides the point.
Oh no, wait, hang on. If you're the ideas guy and I'm the one that will go in and balance it, does that make me the massy nerdy one?
Yes, you do the maths for once.
I do maths
I'm
lots.
tired of maths. I did 3 years of it in Azkaban. I mean, uni, what?
I mean, I'm fully claiming I am a nerd, but
Well, I mean, nothing wrong with being a nerd.
nothing wrong
Nerds
with being a
unite.
nerd. They're great.
Why don't we get a nerd pride month? I want a nerd pride month. Nothing against pride, but I want a nerd month. Hooray for nerds. Speaking of, because this will be published during Pride Month, happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride!
May well be spicy things coming.
Yeah, look forward to the next episode.
Although don't get too excited by the word spicy. It's not going to be like, fuck's sake. We joked the other day that we did like an R&R 18 plus version, but no, that's not happening. As far as I know, it's not anyway. Back to spell combos. I saw 2, which I added to the little list on our notes page, that appealed to me and also my characters. One, I very much intend to take the next time I learn a cantrip. I want to learn the friend cantrip.
Okay.
And use it with disguise self, because obviously the downside to friend is that once the spell ends, the person who you're doing your persuading to can become hostile to you. But they do it, at least how it looks like it's worded, they do it based on their familiarity with you.
Okay.
So if you're using it with disguise self and you just disguise yourself as some nonsense person who doesn't exist, they get angry with a person who doesn't exist and you just bugger off.
Oh, interesting.
And that seems very up the original plan for Erethror's character. Obviously things have changed in the years since, but originally he was very much a sneaky, I'm going to, pretend I'm someone else and completely bamboozle everyone. And he's done it a few times, but still.
Yeah.
I love that. And then the other one, which I've seen happen on Erois High Rollers, is Beacon of Hope with any healing spell. Just Beacon of Hope in general, because that's literally what it does. I feel like healing spells in D&D are kind of naff. Like they never... When you take a heal, you kind of want a big chunk. To me, you want it to be healed by a big chunk, because it should be a one-off thing that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But most of the healing spells don't actually heal as much damage as the damaging spells of the same level do.
Yeah.
Which to me makes healing almost completely worthless. Why would I heal as a cleric when I could just do more damage to the enemies? But with Beacon of Hope, max healing for everyone who was in range at the time.
It's pretty good.
And suddenly healing spells are worth it. Even the ones that only do like a D8 or whatever.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, those are my favourite spell combos that I'm aware of. Do you know of any others?
Well, I was going to bring up the one that we're hoping to maybe sort out for Erethror later down the line, which is pairing Shadowblade with Green Flame Blade.
Yeah, so I've been begging Pine for this for ages now. Basically, there's all those blade cantrips, but they specify in the components list that you need a blade worth at least a silver piece or whatever. And obviously Shadowblade is a conjure blade that vanishes after a minute, so can't really have much value. But I'm like, but I wanna. But I wanna.
I'm a pretty lax DM in that terms. I probably have let you do that mostly anyway, but I think we're going to come up with a cool RP kind of reason for it.
Well, especially since I've asked that, I've also then gone the whole, I want to be a Hexblade Warlock now.
Yeah.
So all of that can sort of tie in together. I'm sure there'll be some consequences of some such, which I'm looking forward to experiencing. But yes, I do. I definitely want to. That'll be fun.
I am very much looking forward to how this goes.
Especially, again, sneaking into a topic we'll talk about later, if we can modify some of these spells to just have a bit of Erethror flavour, i.e. sparkles. I would be a very, very happy boy.
It'd be fun.
I love magic.
The next point is your point, though, and I'm not entirely sure what you're meaning by this, so tell me more.
So actually, I read this in one of the docs you sent me as a starting doc.
Oh.
The feats and boons ones. And at the beginning of that document, there's a whole bunch of rules that whoever wrote it just uses as homebrew house rules. Like one of them is they use flanking dice instead of advantage. I can't remember the others, but one of them is just ignore the one leveled spell per turn thing. And it makes sense to me because, yes, it's kind of powerful to cast 2 leveled spells in one turn, but you're also using 2 spell slots, which means you're burning through your resources way quicker. So yeah, you get a powerful turn, but it's at the cost of a weak turn later. Where you don't have any spell slots left.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just meh. To my knowledge, there's no other abilities in the game where it's like, well, yes, this costs an action and this costs a bonus action, but you can't do both in the same turn for reasons. I just don't like that. I mean, it's really annoying when you Misty Step and then you think, oh fuck, I've Misty Step now and I can't use any of my spells apart from my cantrips, and that makes me annoyed. So
I can understand it though, because melee people and the fighters and such in your party have a limited amount of damage they can do in a turn, then they have to use bonus actions and such to be able to do more, which they only get like 1 or 2 of a day. So it could be a little bit annoying for them to like be stuck doing hitty stuff, not doing that much damage. Then like the wizard comes in with 2 fireballs. Oh no, the sorcerer comes in with 2 fireballs because they've quickened one of their spells.
yeah, but I'd still rather buff marshals than nerf casters. Buffing everything else is better than nerfing one thing, unless it's literally one standout thing that only applies to a specific combo.
Yeah.
Nerfing all casters in general over a problem that's really to do with the fact that marshals need buffing, to me. That's my viewpoint. I don't have a solution for it other than just ignore that limitation and try and give your marshals more fun stuff to do. But yeah, it annoys me.
Yeah, I don't have a solution except do a load more work.
Not a load more work. I just boo. That is my argument.
Brilliant.
Yep, didn't think you'd be able to counter that one.
5 stars.
Yay. This next one's mine as well. I think I might have actually mentioned it on our homebrew episode, but I didn't go into much detail. Resurrection. I find the resurrection spells are boring. In fact, there's a general problem that you see a lot on the internet. I see it on Reddit. You probably see it on the stuff you look at in like Instagram and I don't actually know what social media you read about D&D on. What do you do?
Mainly TikTok.
TikTok. I was going to say I wasn't sure. For me, it's Reddit, and you always see people say being knocked unconscious and dying is just not a thing anyone cares about, especially later game. The first being the problem that it's, as I was talking about healing spells being rubbish earlier, it's better to actually wait for someone to go down before you heal them, and then them going down isn't a problem because you're going to heal them. And then the resurrection thing, oh no, he died. Pulls out diamond, cast spell, oh, he's back. There's not as much tension in that, especially once you get to the levels where diamonds that are 300 GP or more, or whatever the number is, aren't really rare or anything. So I would rather, and again, I'm stealing this from High Rollers because it's the only other D&D content I watch. I'm sorry for repeating myself. Mark Hughes is the best.
Really need to expand your...
I'm getting there, all right? There's only so much time in the day. I prefer this idea where resurrections have to become like a dedicated side quest that will take at least a few sessions, either because you have to find the items that work for these resurrection spells, like you change the components of the spells to make it an even rarer item that they have to actually find in the world, or some kind of complex ritual that actually lets you do it, or something like that. Just a reason to make death meaningful and to reverse it, something you actually have to put effort into.
One of the simpler solutions for that is make diamonds rare in your world.
Well, yeah, but that's part of what I'm saying, right? Because if it's rare, then you have to actually try and find one.
Yeah.
And it's not just a case of, oh, I bought millions of diamonds, I'm just going to pull one out of my component pouch and cast a spell. I think story-wise, it's more fun to make it like ritualistic or like an epic quest. Like, imagine if here's one way we can improve Lord of the Rings, right? That's a touchy subject to say because everyone thinks Lord of the Rings is perfect. Imagine if the party, like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, knew that Gandalf had died, but they also knew that to get him back there, to actually do something about it and not just happen across him in Fangorn Forest. I just think that would have been a more interesting story. But nope, Gandalf's back. See? You see my problem? The Valar are the problem in that story. They just bring Gandalf back and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, resurrections should be more significant. Also, I think that another thing that makes it more interesting is make it so that a PC can only be resurrected once, and after that, if they die again, they're dead forever. That's just me. I could accept arguments against that one. That's just me being me. Do you have any thoughts? I've been talking too much. Say something.
See, I can understand your point of view. I'm going to play devil's advocate. But the thing about specifically the resurrection spell, is it Revivify?
There's a many number, including the necromancy one, and there's like 3 of them, I think. I can't remember the details.
But Revivify itself requires you to have cast it within a minute of them dying. So you can't, if you've used up all your spell slots, you can't revive them that way.
Yeah, but isn't there that one where you just need like a part of their body and you can do it any time within a year or something?
I am not sure.
I can't remember. I think that's a warlock one. There is a spell that I'm pretty sure has a much bigger range of time. Obviously, you need the right class in your party for it to work, or you just go find one in the wild.
The other thing I was going to say, the other one I know of is Reincarnate, which is a druid spell.
Yes.
Which you get a new race for randomly.
True.
Which could have some fun RP things in there, especially while you're getting used to a new body and all that.
Yeah, that is intriguing. And at least that's interesting in a way. Like there's consequences beyond the Revivify one and whatever the necromancy one's called. I think it's just called Resurrection, isn't it? But still, I think it should be more interesting than just, oh no, I'm dead. Oh, I am back. And that's one of the ways I like to do it. And also, another reason I bring this up, I'm not just being rulesy here, it's because in the high rollers that I've watched, there have been a total of 4 deaths. And every single one of the resurrection arcs were one of my favourite arcs in all of the stories.
Okay.
Because there's always this emotional moment just before they come back where it's like, it's your choice now. The party have done all these things because they want you back, and you have to choose if you're coming back. And then there's this description of their soul travelling through the plains, and their eyes open, and the party's all staring at them, and it's all emotional and amazing, and everyone cries, and I love it.
Aww.
We can't do that if you just cast Revivify, can you? It's like, oh no, he's gone, no, he's back.
One of the podcasts that I have listened to, there is a lot of PC death in it. Mainly from them not having a cleric in the party, led to them not being able to have access to those kind of spells. They didn't have the right spellcasters to get anyone back.
And then all the more reason, if you don't have spellcasters, you can still go on this epic quest to bring people back.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. It works for situations where too many people die and they come back too often, and it works for situations where too many people die and there's no way to get them back. It's just a nice way of changing things up.
Yeah.
I don't see a downside.
Yeah. I think the main thing I would do for that side of things is have diamonds 300. You have to have a single 300 GP worth of diamond to be able to cast a spell, and I would just make that a very rare thing to find.
Fair enough. But I still would want them to have already found one before it happens. That's the point I'm making. Because then it's just like, oh no, he's dead. I've said this about 4 times now. Oh no, he's dead. Oh yeah, he's back. And it's just like, where's the emotion in that?
The emotional trauma that the person went through dying.
I suppose. I just like drama, all right? But enough on that.
I suppose I'll just bring up one last thing about this. It could also depend on the type of game that you're wanting to play. Like, if you're wanting to do like swashbuckling adventures, like everything's going really well, you don't want your PCs to die all that much and everything, that it's not that much of an issue. But if you're wanting a more hardcore, like Ravenloft type of adventure, then yeah, limit those spells.
Oh, that is true. It's just, again, my exposure to different types of games is a bit I was about to say narrowed, because I was going to say narrow and limited at the same time. In that, obviously, I've played the games we're in, and I've watched High Rollers, and they're all very similar levels of, we're the heroes, we don't necessarily want to die, although obviously Forrester's killed Jar Jar twice, but never mind.
Yeah, we haven't been able to bring that person back, so you haven't really got anything to complain about.
Well, we're low level there, so we don't have a choice. But yeah, I feel like other than that, those counterexamples, all of those games are a similar level of we're the heroes, blah blah blah. Don't want to die. I'm attached to my character. Be sad if they died, etc. So having an opportunity to resurrect would be nice. Making it easy would be boring. The end. That is all I have to say.
Okay, fair enough.
Case closed. Now it's your turn to talk about a thing that you were excited about, and I'm intrigued to hear what this interest is.
So, power words are interesting spells for me. They are obviously very powerful spells, power words.
Are they though?
But it's a big point of contention with me personally.
Well, before you even start, I feel like I have to disagree. That they seem to be designed to be the most powerful spells, but I don't really think they are.
They are designed to be powerful. They're instant effect kind of.
Yes, I'll give you one of my counterexamples in a minute, but I want you to make your main point first.
Well, I'm going to go through each one of them individually, so...
Okay, well, I'll raise my point when you get to the one I care about, that I have an active counterexample for.
Okay, well, we'll start off with the power word heal. We're going to quickly run through the ones that are thing. I think that power word heal is fine.
I don't. I don't.
You get all your hit points back, you get pretty much all conditions removed, and you can use your reaction to stand up.
Okay.
So you're down, and then if someone power word heals you, you're completely back up to full hit points and ready to start the fight again.
Can I counter what you're saying?
Okay.
How many player characters have you ever heard of that have more than 700 hit points? None. Correct. Power word heal is touch range, and what was the other stuff about it? Blah blah blah. Whatever. It's 9th level. The other 9th level healing spell, Mass Heal, gives you 700 hit points of healing pool. What PC is that not going to fully heal? Has 60 feet of range, and gets rid of all diseases and any effect making them blind or deaf. Sure, it doesn't get rid of all of the conditions, but it gets rid of the ones that are really critical. And yeah, reaction to stand up. Oh no, you saved half your movement with a 9th level spell. Mass Heal to me is way better.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. They're the same level, so carry on.
Power word stun is another one. I don't know whether you've read up about this one. You automatically stun a creature that has less than 150 hit points. But you get a con save at the end of your turn to be able to come out of it. So I'm just going to bring up, I don't believe these spells, like most of these spells, are overpowered.
Oh no, I think they're critically underpowered.
Fair enough.
And this one, the reason I think it's underpowered is because there's a monk ability that stuns people. Yes, it only does it for a turn, but they don't get a saving throw. And it doesn't matter how many hit points they have.
No, that's fair.
And you can just keep doing it over and over again. But anyway, carry on.
Power word pain. If you're below a certain number of hit points, I believe it's 100 again, you are put under immense pain. You get disadvantage on pretty much everything, and you have to roll a con save to be able to successfully cast a spell. And if you don't pass the con save, then you lose a spell slot still. But again, at the end of your turn, you get a con save, because these are all savings. Like, you get one turn of it being a thing, and then you get the saving throw to end the effect.
I think this one's my favourite purely because it's not 9th level. I know that stun was also 8th level, but still, it's only 7th. And also it gives me Crucio vibes. It's just fun. But also, ouch.
What I'm going to bring up that I don't think you may know or heard of is power word kneel.
Why is that not in D&D Beyond?
It is in the DM's handbook. It is only a 2nd level spell and only affects someone up to 55 hit points worth of people. And again, if you're affected, you get the save on the end of the turn. But it just makes people kneel. And I hadn't heard about this before looking this up for this podcast, but I just think that's just a fun little spell.
Also, I'm immediately just thinking of Avengers, the first Avengers film with Loki.
Yeah.
Kneel! Just uses the staff and falls everyone. Although I don't think that would have been a level 2 spell
No.
to affect a crowd of like 1,000 people. But no, that's cool. Although,
Cool.
it kind of seems a bit like an outlier, being that much lower level and not such a drastic effect.
And now we're going to go on to the spell that I have issues with. Power word kill. Basically, the Avada Kedavra of D&D.
Avada Kedavra.
I
was about to say, can someone edit me saying Avada Kedavra early over this? But that someone's going to be me. Sounds in the future, just dub that over. Avada
Kedavra. So if you have less than 100 hit points, you just die.
You die.
No save, no death rolls, you just die. And I hate this spell with a passion. I could be convinced to come around to it, but it would have to be like under special circumstances and used right. But it is such a shit way for a PC to die or a BBEG that you've been in like a big fight with and you're getting them down, and rather than them like having those last moments to say or RP with the group, you're just like, nah, you're dead.
Yeah, I fully agree. I have no intention to ever take this spell on any of my characters. No. What list is it on? Wizard, Warlock, Sorcerer, Bard. Oh, all of them. Apart from Cleric. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. My brain just completely stopped working then. I have no intention of ever taking it. As a DM, I have no intention of ever using it.
Nope.
What I will say is I did actually like Forrest's use of it.
Okay.
And I think we did speak about this because it was one of my favourite moments. We met our BBG, the 13th he's called, in Forest campaign, quite early on. I think we're only like level 4 or something, if that. And he just sort of revealed himself to us and was being all like, la, 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 look at me, I'm so powerful and scary. And Jar Jar and his character were all jibber jabber, chatting away and provoking him. And he had plenty of opportunity to shut up. And it was quite obvious this guy was more powerful than any of us because he like managed to make his entire building appear out of nowhere and had shadows for face, or I can't remember the exact details. And Jar Jar just carried on like, nope, the power of my magic compels you to shut up. And then Forrest just had the BBT turn around and go, okay, you're annoying me now. Power, kill, you're dead. And narratively, it was like, oh my god, but in a good way.
Mm.
It was more the way it was used in an RP sense than actually being a fun mechanical spell.
Yeah. My biggest issue with it was actually that moment. With this, like, not because of how it was done, but because my knowledge of power word kill had come from Pathfinder. Where there's a save. So I was like, he's not had him roll a save. I'm going to look this up. And they've read up on it and everything, and there is no save. And that is my biggest issue, is just, it just happens.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But yeah, outside of a context similar to that, outside of a context where the RP and the situation could call for it, I fully agree. It's a really shit spell.
But yeah, like say, if you could have a like really epic moment for it, for instance, if you were to have a big bad use it, like in that situation, potentially, but as well, if you know your party has Revivify or a power, like a spell to heal someone back up from the dead, and you made a power killer thing so that they had to make a choice between saving their friend or coming after you, then that could be an epic moment. But in this case, like for me personally, I would have had to have already planned it and checked in with the person that I was going to use the power kill on, because or have it as an NPC, because I feel like it's a super horrible way to have a character die, especially if the party was like, oh no, we really need to go after the big bad, and then they just left their party member there to die. It's just like, oh. Yeah,
I mean, it takes away agency. Yeah. At the end of the day, PCs should have as much agency as possible within the confines of whatever sort of game you're playing, at least. I mean, like you said, there's no save, there's no attack roll. It's just, I use a nice level spell slot, and you are unalived. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
At least, Avada Kedavra, you could just dodge out of the way. Or be Harry Potter, but you can't just be Harry Potter in D&D, right?
No, that's fair.
Or can you? Sorry.
Yes. So I think personally for me, I'm not going to have it in my games. I don't think I'm going to let the PCs take it. And that could cause some tension, I am aware.
I'm trying to think who would actually care. I don't think Drowir would care because obviously he's a druid and they can't even take it, and he's like all life and happiness.
Yeah.
That's a very big summary. I'm not saying that's exactly how I summarize Drowir. I could see Gimlin maybe wanting it.
But so I wouldn't let anyone take it as a spell. However, I could potentially, like, since like writing about this, potentially have it locked behind an inspiration. And have any class who would be able to cast it, not having to prepare it. But if the player has an inspiration they can spend and describes an epic or dramatic way to like use that spell and reasons why, then I might let the player like use the inspiration to cast it, have it like an inspiration spell only.
Spicy. I like that. Oh, damn it, you're such good ideas. I want the good ideas. Give me the ideas.
You have good ideas.
But yours are fun. Anyway, to be honest, I feel similar about all of them really. Actually, pain again, because I'd like the pain one as like a crucial thing. Again, I feel like it could be used in an RP sense, where it's like, I'm going to torture you because I'm powerful. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I don't actually see any of them really being used in balanced combat.
No, I think they are kind of
flexes.
Yeah, like you.
Apart from power word heal, obviously that has a use. Even if I do think mass heal is better.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, like you say, they are just flexes. Like, just being able to say one word and have everyone react, or like a person react, I think, yeah, it is more of a flex than...
Power word heal is only available to bards.
That would make sense.
Would it, though? I mean, I get the word bit, but surely clerics, the healers...
Well, that other spell that you said in contest, does bards have access to that?
No, they don't, but still.
Yeah, so it's bards aren't main healers.
I don't like locking spells behind single classes. I don't mind limiting them. I just don't like being behind single classes. Unless they're really, really about what that class is. And yes, I get bards to have power in their speech, but why aren't all of the power words just bards, huh? You can't do it for one and not another. I mean, bards can't even do power word pain. Why not? What if they want to torture you with their words? There's already a meme going around on Reddit these days. I was going to say, there's already a meme going around these days that bards can literally mock people to death. So why can't they use power word pain or things like that irk me a little bit? But yeah, I'd probably just let people use whatever they want if I were using these spells, which I don't think I will. That was today's version of Sounds as Random Rant. What
one every podcast?
There was going to be another one, but we wrote it out because it wasn't quite relevant to the topic. Bloody range spells.
I mean, we can talk about it because it is ranged spells.
Oh yeah, that's the point. Actually, it can be ranged spells, but technically it's all ranged attacks, right?
Yeah.
Shall we, or should we save it? We'll save it for my next rant.
Okay.
I mostly agree, if not fully agree. The inspiration thing does sound cool. I apologise if I started to sound stuffy for some reason. My nose is starting to block up. Why does this always happen?
Oh no! Oh no!
I'll be fine. Now we get to some of my favourite flavour text. Well, what I call the flavour text of D&D, where you take the rules and the stuff that's written in the books, and you're like, but what about making it me?
Yeah.
And the first instance I saw of this, right? Actually, can I talk about that, or is that going to spoil my own campaign?
No.
Actually, no, I've got a better idea. No, it does make sense. Moonbeam.
Okay.
You can see why Moonbeam isn't working everywhere else, right?
Yes.
There's no moon.
There's no moon.
So they just changed it to something else beam. It has exactly the same mechanical effects. They just changed the wording to not include the word moon. So that was the first time I saw adapting spells. And that was just to fit the world. But I like it even more when you do it to fit the characters, because I feel like it's boring if every single person casts a spell and you get exactly the same result. I mean, it says even in the player's handbook, when you cast magic missile, you can decide what the magic missiles look like. Why not just do that for all spells? Mechanically, you still roll the same dice and have the same area of effect, but why can't you just make it look cool? And for me, that means sparkles, because Aerithor loves sparkles. Sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle, sparkle.
I've taken the meme where everyone mocked Twilight for the sparkling vampires, where people were just like, sparkle, sparkle, and just roll with it. I don't care. I'll be mocked about it. Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Sparkling is cool if you're not a vampire.
I am very lax with the flavoring of how people want to change their spells to fit characters. So we're obviously adapting and changing yours to be more sparkle. And things like that. And I've got one person, Forrest, who plays Drowier. His spells, he's got like the druid spell list, but anytime he casts his spell, it's like changed to be like watery kind of effects, and most often the damage type is changed to cold damage. So I'm fine with that because it like lets him add the flavor to his character and doesn't change the spell in any statistical way, really.
As long as people don't meta it and then make up bullshit reasons to make all of their damage do like psychic and force, because obviously those are the least resisted.
See, because
which is awkward because those totally aren't the damage types Erethdor would deal if he could choose.
So you've obviously got that which is got to make sure it's not an overpowered damage type, and I don't think cold is. And it like may grant him some advantages in some situations, but also not being able to do other damage types is going to have negative consequences later down the line.
Yeah, makes sense.
Or could.
It does make sense, and I do love it, and I can't wait to Sparkle Step. Why sparkle? Why vanish in mist? I want to vanish in sparkles. I love this whole sparkle thing, literally, by the way, in case anyone didn't know. Originates entirely from the table of potential characteristics you can get with an Aberrant Mind Sorcerer. And one of them says, faint motes of light surround you when you cast spells. And I was just like, sparkles. And then I photoshopped my character art to have sparkles. And then every time I cast a spell, I was like, sparkles.
Sparkles.
And then I got a cat and was like, to this artificery person, can you make me a collar that makes them sparkle? And I just love the sparkles. Also, I really want one of those, I've sent you the item list, one of those robes that either looks like the stars or like the shimmering, I can't remember what they're called, shimmering cloak of something or other.
The shooting stars.
I don't even care about the effects, I just want a cloak that looks like it sparkles.
You've got a billowing cloak, you could maybe have that enchanted.
True. Or the clothing underneath it, make that sparkle instead. I mean, that already sparkles as much as it can mundanely because it's like basically made of shiny silver silk, but
yeah.
Sparkle. Pat's Erethdor on head. This boy can fit so many sparkles.
And the other thing is you could even adapt spells, not just changing the damage type and adding descriptions. One of the fun things I have done recently is, you've got like Shape Water, I believe the cantrip, and Control Flame.
Yes.
I made a new one of those called Control Shadow.
Ooh.
Which I don't know whether I've spoken to you about before.
Well, now we're going from adapting to making new spells.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Kind of.
And you've already done one of the things I was going to suggest, which is just steal content from other existing spells if you're worried about balance.
Yeah.
But carry
on. No, it's definitely, if you are creating a spell, I definitely recommend like looking at other spells of that level and trying to make sure you're not overpowering it. But yeah, control shadow, which is I believe you get 3 effects with most of the cantrips. So 1, I can make shadows grow or shrink by about 5 feet per turn. I can make shadows create shape. And I can also have like a little shadowy creature form that can interact with small objects.
Oh, shadow creature.
Yeah, which is quite
fun. Are
they
cute? Is it cute shadow creature?
I think so.
Or evil? Evil! Or both. It could be both. No, yeah, I do like that. In fact, there's a part of me that wants to, I suppose this is still adapting rather than making my own, but I do kind of want Shadowblade to be a thing that evolves with Erethdor.
Yeah.
Just because I fucking love that spell. I don't know why, I just love the idea of just drawing a blade out of nowhere and it's made of shadow. Even though I'm not a shadow sorcerer. That's your thing. Can I make it? Oh wait, then again I was going to say, with what we just talked about, eventually I want it to be Sparkle Blade, so... Sparkle Blade!
do think having people creating spells through the game as well can be fun, but it can be hard to balance, but it helps players feel unique, I think.
Yeah, another example from Herolas. Lucius's Luscious Light. Because Lucius is luscious and bright
Amazing.
and colourful and prismatic and beautiful. And so they made a spell for him that was all sparkly. But not my kind of sparkly, his kind of sparkly. Different kind of sparkles. His sparkles are iridescent. My sparkles are sparkly.
Amazing.
I'm digging a hole. We could come up with more examples off the spot, but it's literally like I said, I think the best way is take existing spells, mix them up, make them your own.
Yeah.
If you don't like Fireball, then have... I'm trying to think of something now. What's explosive that isn't fire? Have
Force Ball.
Implosion Ball. Where, it does a similar amount of damage. What is it, 86?
Yeah.
20-foot range, and then the save, instead of halving the damage, it was still half the damage, but maybe also if you fail the save, because it's an implosion, flavor emit, they get pulled 5 feet towards the epicenter. Something like that.
Okay.
Just making that up off the top of my spot. Or the opposite, just explosive force, where instead of fire damage, it throws everyone away and they take force damage, or things like that. It's really easy to do and just makes you feel cooler when you do it, even though there's not really any mechanical difference. You're still rolling 8d6. But yeah, it just feels like it's your story more than just here's a list of things you can do, you're not allowed to deviate.
Yeah, agreed. Very much agreed.
I do believe it is time we speak of our own homebrew magic.
Ba, 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 ba.
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, brewing our own magic.
'Cause you're a hex boy.
No one's going to get that reference, but I love it. And I'm going to put a spell on you. So this came to me in a dream. So it's really magical. It came, you could say it floated along the weave and a gust of astral magical wind passed through my brain. And I thought, wow, magic. So this was very shortly after I decided I wanted Erethdor to be a Sorlock. And I was somehow even more obsessed with D&D than I normally am. Like reading everything to do with sorcerers and warlocks and combos. And I was like, I can't wait to do this. But also not fully planning it because I've ruined it. And I was bugging you about it like every 5 seconds. Like, Pine, can I do this? Pine, can I do that?
I was going to say,
how about this?
Are you sure you weren't trying to plan it all? Because it felt like it.
No, I mean, it's like, I guess I've planned my 2 warlock levels, but I haven't planned beyond that, because otherwise it'd just be... Anyway. So I was thinking about all these cool combos, and a thing that happens with me when I get so hyper-focused on something is I start dreaming about it. Normally it's with video games, like Factorio is very sort of problem-solving, logical, step-by-step, and then I end up sort of somehow dreaming about problems as if it's in a Factorio world, which is weird, but ignore that. So I'm dreaming about D&D, Erethdor's doing his badass shit, Valent's doing his badass shit, and then somehow I just have this idea of casting a spell that evolves over time, and not just like it's part of the spell description that it evolves over time. You choose to evolve it over time by expending more magical energy and casting a new spell. So realistically, it only really works for concentration spells, this idea. Go-to example, because I'm obsessed with it, and it's Erethdor, and it's the idea I had when I was dreaming. Shadowblade. You summon this blade of shadow, and it's really cool. And you're like, ching, 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 die. And everyone dies. But not everyone dies, because they're getting too powerful, and you think, I need something better. And so, while maintaining concentration, you cast a new spell that kind of inherits the concentration and embigganifies, that's not a word, the first spell. So, like, your Shadowblade would evolve into, I think my idea, because it's Erethdor and Sparkle Sparkle, it evolves into Sparkle Blade, which doesn't just do 2d10 force damage, it does an additional d10 radiant damage or something like that. And it inherits the concentration, takes another spell slot. Maybe say it takes a 4 spell slot since Shadowblade is 2nd level. But because it's sacrificing an existing spell to cast it, it kind of is just a tiny bit more powerful than a standard 4th level spell. And with this idea, it's not to say that there's only one sort of route you can go. You could have like defensive spells or spells that like give your allies buffs and stuff that have different ways you can cast what I'm calling the chain spell to do more effects on top of the previous one, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
So say you've got like a spell that, like, what is it? What were we talking about earlier? Bless. You got a Bless that gives you like a D4 bonus on attack rolls or whatever. Say that's your concentration spell, that's a base. You then cast a new spell that absorbs the concentration, maintains that effect, but on top of it, you get like, I don't know, plus a D4 to damage rolls as well. Or you have a different version you could go, instead of just getting D4 regular damage, you can choose the damage type, or things like that. Basically a branch of evolving concentration spells that get more and more powerful and fun and unique.
Yeah.
And I call it chain spells. And that's my idea. Please don't steal.
We are going to be working on that and hopefully have it be a thing that we can publish and put out there and people can use.
And on top of that, because, as I've already said, blah, 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 caster's overpowered, marshal's underpowered, we're also brainstorming on a similar way to buff martial classes. Because this would apply to anyone who can cast spells, right? Because it's just an effect of knowing spells and knowing concentration spells. So if there's, we're trying to come up with a similar way to have martials have a fighting style or effect that can evolve over time and make them more powerful. So yeah, that's my little homebrew puppy that we're going to turn into a wonderful wolf thing. Similes, no wait, metaphors, whatever, analogies.
Yeah.
But that's my thing. What do you think?
I think it's a very cool thing. Let us know what you think.
Can't wait for Arathor to be like, Shadow Blade, Sparkle Blade of Infinite Radiance.
Yeah.
Also, I want them to all have really, really grand names because they're getting more and more grand, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You're building up effects. That's my thought anyway. But yes, I think that pretty much brings us to a close of DM discussions for this episode.
Yeah.
Which means onto our black and purple Foxy we go.
Yeah.
To favourite moments.
Prancy.
Is that the fox's name?
No, that's what we're doing. We're prancing on the fox.
I know, but I like the idea that we just call the fox Prancer. Stealing it a bit from the reindeer, but...
yeah.
I'm going to straight up go ahead and say, and also mildly complain that I don't have a favourite moment because I haven't played D&D in like over 2.5 weeks and I'm really sad. And I haven't been able to run it either, and I'm just like, to quote Ron Weasley, now I'm really depressed.
Yeah, scheduling and people not being available and people being away.
Summer, people being sick.
Yeah, just hasn't lined up yet.
People having lives.
How dare they?
Bastards. And now to quote another character, people. What a bunch of bastards. Gotta love the IT crowd. But yeah, Pine, take it away. You've got moments.
I've got moments. So this is actually from the DM side because I seem to be the only one DMing at the moment. But it was really fun watching you guys try and abduct a pirate. Well, not a pirate, a ship's captain on the Kraken's Fall.
It was really fun watching it, huh? Because here's the thing about this, which I find hilarious. We started a plan for this abduction the session before, didn't finish it, so I was like, we should probably think about this before the session starts. So we made a Discord thread, and we discussed everything we were going to do that might come up. Pine never read it. So Pine was not prepared for the absolute madness that was going to happen.
Oh, it was so interesting, though, because you guys to the dock at night, and there was 3 people on the top of the ship, and then one of the people, Droia, being a water genasi, was like, I'm gonna go underwater and like try and attack the base of the ship and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool.
As a distraction technique.
Yeah.
Not just for lols.
Yeah. But once you guys come out of this, I can give you more details about the ship and everything. But he was making a lot of noise, not really doing a lot of damage to the ship. But
which I think was the intent.
Yeah. But things were happening in the ship and he was just getting annoyed that he couldn't see what was happening and what was going on, so he just kept doing more and more dramatic stuff. And I was just like, okay, what's everybody else doing? But yeah, no, it was fun because it was chaotic. And then Because the thing is, though, because you were making a commotion, because he was making a commotion underneath the ship from the outside, it was a bit like, oh, well, there's not a lot these people are going to do on the on the inside of the ship, so they're all going to have to come up to the top. Which is where you...
That was the point. We needed the captain to come out, and we've been told the captain didn't really come out a lot. So the whole point was get the captain out of his quarters, and then we'll just Misty Step and Thunder Step him away.
I thought the plan was get everybody else to the bottom of the ship so that they're distracted so we can pinch the captain.
That would have been a better plan, but that assumes that we were smart. No, the whole plan was get the captain out of his door. As soon as we see him, kidnap him and get the fuck out of there. And as far as I'm concerned, it worked perfectly.
We're still in, this is where we've left it, is the part way in this moment. But you guys, the people up top, who are on the ship, and the crew, some of them were paying attention to you, others were, jumping off the side to see what was going on. Hadn't attacked you guys at all. They were suspicious and questioning you and such. And then Gimlin, who you were controlling at the time, because unfortunately the player wasn't there, just thunder steps away with the captain, even though he'd already been suggested to follow you guys willingly. He just thunder stepped away, causing damage to other people, and then later casts Fireball.
Which literally singed the back of my robes, I imagine.
Yeah.
Well, the beauty was he used his ability to nudge me, with the... I can't remember what his ability is, but it's kind of like a mage hand nudge, pretty much. To nudge me overboard so that I wasn't in range of the fireball because I was paralysed at the time, which was fantastic. So I fall off this ship, unable to move, my ass on fire, land in the water, not able to move still. And I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to drown. And then Drow, who's still underwater and has at this point wild shaped into a shark, just comes along and picks me up in his teeth. I've got no idea it's him.
Yeah, it's fun because you were the only other person on the ship and didn't bamf out with them. You got the hold person cast on you and then put in manticles. Under the logic of their people being well, you're going to take one of our people, so we're going to take one of your people. But yeah, so you get shoved off the ship and in a shark's mouth. But yeah, it's just the pure chaos of that session.
I mean, you call it chaos. Most of what we planned worked.
You weren't very subtle, though, were you?
I don't know if we were trying to be subtle. Were we trying to be subtle?
I thought the plan was to try and be subtle.
It was to be subtle on the approach so that no one suspected us initially, and we got that far. And then we were like, okay, shit's hit the fan. Let's go. But yeah, it was a good fun session. And another reason why I'm really depressed that we haven't played since, because I want to play.
Hopefully this weekend, fingers crossed, if people turn up, I can run again.
Yay. Yeah, and that brings us to the conclusion of... I suppose it wasn't short because we talked about it for a while, but our favourite moments. To be honest, yeah, the favourite moment was just that entire session.
Yeah, the thing was, because so little of my prep, it got used. And I was scrambling for most of the session, and you guys were just like, "Oh, that was one of the more fun sessions we've had." And I was like, "Ah!"
Just proves you should have more confidence in yourself.
There was so much going on.
But yes, back to the fox.
Yes.
It is time. It is time indeed to visit Amnesty for the 4th time. I still feel bad about this because I do not have the time and capacity and energy to do a full sandbox just for these mini sessions. Well, actually, I really should have lately because I haven't actually had to run my own session, but that's besides the point. So this is going to remain fairly railroady and is basically more like a cutscene than anything else.
Okay.
But it's an interactable cutscene, so you can do something. So I
know.
hope it's not fun, and I stand by the fact that you don't need to put nearly as much effort into mine as you did last time. Because I feel bad. But if you want to do it, that's up to you.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
So, Amnesty.
Yes.
You have a d20.
Yeah.
You are used to very particular kinds of sounds, smells, and atmospheres when it comes to a busy, densely populated city. The upper tier of Horizon was always rich with a dissonant collection of humming sounds, of Ethereum-powered vehicles filling the streets and whizzing past scores of business people and bureaucrats discussing the latest development in their fields on their travels to and from offices. The commercial district rang with a cacophony of recorded advertisements playing on repeat on magical billboards that were fixed above the ever perfectly clean marble and glass buildings, with heavy footfall and chatter filling the gaps. There was always an enticing smell of something sweet in the air. The residential tier was quiet, silence often only broken by the song of a bird or the wind rustling the hedges and trees, carrying with it a faint smell of seasonal flowers. And finally, the industrial tier, where you were never too far from the loud whine of machinery and the strong smell of some sort of alchemical metallic substance or Ethereum byproduct or another. Everything had its purpose, and everything had its place. What you experience now is not that. This city is ever evolving. The street you walk down now would struggle to fit a single horse-drawn carriage, and yet it is more alive than any you've ever laid your eyes on. For the first time in your life, you find yourself in a lowland market deep in the heart of Great Antelion City. The bright blue sky is just beginning to fade and give way to the teal shades of the cradle. Despite the middlingly late hour, the city appears to be more awake than ever. Navigating the flowing crowds is difficult for you, as there seems to be no consistency on which side to walk on, and you find yourself ducking and weaving between various individuals and groups. Nonetheless, your mind is ever stimulated, as every 10 feet you walk you discover new wares, from collections of small handcrafted decorative pieces, street food, locally smithed tools, and vibrant coloured clothing. Anything you want to buy? I know Amnesty likes her trinkets.
She does.
Just keep your eye out for something and tell me what you're looking for, and I'll see if you spot it.
I think, to start with, if she hasn't already, she'd like some kind of cloak. I feel like she'd probably feel a little bit out of place with having clothes from Horizon. She'd be tempted to get something to fit more in. Potentially like a scarf as well.
A lot of it is very vibrantly coloured. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Definitely something purple.
Of course.
But like a red scarf as well.
I imagine you could find some kind of nice hand-woven patterned cloak or cape or whatever, and a simple enough scarf.
Sleeveless cloak.
Sleeveless, okay, cool. We won't worry about money because Amnesty's basically, well, from a rich enough family for now. So yeah, you buy a few things, buy some clothing, anything else? Any trinkets? Any souvenirs?
Oh gosh.
It's alright if not.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd give you the option.
I think she's just like looking at everything and not really buying anything, just taking it all in. Moment.
That's cool. It seems that no matter where you stand along this street, you can hear multiple melodies ringing out, clashing, coming from different sources in opposite directions. There's a lively band made up of 4 dwarves that play a lilting tune in a gap between 2 of the stalls. And while they're playing, they're watching on as 2 passing male elves, who are hand in hand, seemingly strangers to the band, stop and start to dance and stomp their feet in sync with the rhythm, swinging about in each other's arms, and then occasionally they'll even reach out to an observer and get them to join in for a few bars. And honestly, the smiles, it's alien to you seeing such expression in public. Like, sure, there was joy and parties and things were celebrated in Horizon, but this is just so open and free, and it kind of sings to some of what you were looking for when you wanted to leave. Further along, there's what looks like an elderly man and his son performing a beautiful but slow and more melancholic piece on a flute and lyre, and towards the end of the performance, a third human, a woman, who also bears resemblance to the son, maybe his sister, has a tear rolling down her cheek as she smiles widely at the two and claps as they finish. This particular street, as you carry on travelling down it, finally reaches a more open plaza, in the centre of which is a circular water fountain in front of what looks to you like a very old temple. Although you can't see any symbols of the gods that you're familiar with, it's pretty plain. It's so symbol-wise at least. However, it is decorated with numerous drapes of, again, very vibrant colours and patterns hanging between anywhere pretty much that it can be hooked onto. It's a bit of a mess, to be honest, and overwhelmingly bright with shades of reds, greens and yellows. The flow of the crowds means that you find yourself approaching the fountain almost by default without really steering yourself. And as you look to give your senses a slight break from everything, you take a seat on the edge of the small wall which keeps the water inside. And automatically you reach down a hand and dip your fingertips in. The water is surprisingly cold, and the sensation feels as though it climbs up your arm and envelops your body. You begin to lose yourself in the moment, and the music and chatter fades, muffled in the background. The small knot of nervous excitement in your stomach that has been present since you alighted the skyship and waved goodbye to Leonin finally begins to fade, and you feel tension in your muscles wash away at this moment of peace. A moment which is broken by a single, clear voice. "What do you see in the waters, young one?"
Huh?
Across the fountain stands a figure, which initially surprises you. You recognize her as an Earth Genasi, a race which is very rarely seen outside their own city of Vortinsar, and lies on another continent entirely. She has deep grey skin, wrinkled in such a way as to look like cracks in stone, and her long black hair is arranged into dreads, which are tightly bound into a single ponytail along her back. She holds a long walking stick of sorts, quite plain but smooth finished wood, in stark contrast to what she wears. Robes, again, of incredible vibrance, matching the colours of the hanging fabrics on the building behind her, making her stand out even amongst the brightly dressed commoners around you. Yet no one seems to be paying her any attention. As you look around, you realise that your senses didn't just fade because you were lost in the moment. You literally cannot see past a few dozen feet in any direction, and all sound apart from this woman's voice and the running water is muffled, as though you have been softly carved away into a bubble away from the world. "Tell me, what do you see?"
Not a lot around me at the moment, which is unsettling, but...
"And the waters?"
I just kind of, look over her for a second, confused, and then look down to the water.
Do you see anything you don't expect to see? Anything in your reflection that troubles you, surprises you? I know you're supposed to usually ask me this, but I know maybe you'd be surprised at how relaxed you look, at how free everything is.
I'll probably, feel relaxed. Look a bit, except for being confused by this strange woman talking to me in a weird bubble. Look a bit happier than I usually would.
Confusion, then. The Genasi begins to stroll around the fountain, looking down as she slowly and carefully places her feet and leans heavily on her walking stick. "But perhaps..." She comes to a stop and sits next to you, and you get a faint smell of tea leaves. "Perhaps I may make a suggestion. You should look not with your eyes, but with your heart." As you look again, I would like you to roll me a charisma check.
Ooh.
Straight charisma.
Oh, that is an 18 though.
Tell me,
Okay.
what is it at this point in time that Amnesty is looking to happen to her in the future? What she's looking to become?
I'm not sure what she's looking to become. I mean, she's definitely just... I'd say... Amnesty's a very in the now person, but I suppose just being able to travel, seeing all the places around the world, hopefully finding a group of people to travel with, having adventures.
And with an 18, before your very eyes, your reflection begins to evolve. Within seconds, the image of Amnesty looking back at you no longer expresses slight hints of naivety, childishness, or a longing for belonging. For lack of a better phrase, that sounded terrible. You see vague figures whose features you can't make out appear behind her shoulders, not in a menacing way. You see one of them, the silhouette sort of reaches up and places a hand on her shoulder. There's flashes of those images you saw in the paintings on the airship on the way here. It's like you're in those paintings for a moment, but you don't get to see too much detail. When you look back to your face, it looks into your eyes and smirks almost teasingly. It's aged a few years, it stares back with a great confidence, although the curiosity and restless desire to explore lives on. It's not entirely alien, it's definitely still you, but it's the you that maybe you didn't even realise yet that you want to be, and it's quite clear you do have the backing of numerous companions. The voice speaks again, the woman. Interesting. As I believed, your heart is open to the ebb and flow of the universe. And she stands up. You will come back here to this place, whether tomorrow, next week, many years' time. It's not up to me, but the key has told me it is so. So I will leave the whens and hows up to you and the whims of the key, but you will come back to this place, and I will teach you about the ways of the key. And afterwards, you and I will return to this fountain and look once more into its waters. And perhaps we shall both get some answers, yes?
What kind of key are we talking about?
Not K-E-Y, K-I. The key.
Sounds like some weird voodoo things, but okay.
It's the energy that flows through all the universe. Like magic of a sort, with a special flavour. And it belongs here. And she reaches out and basically pokes you in the chest just over your heart. And at that point, she'll just turn around and start walking away.
I was just gonna look around and see if I'm still bubbly-fied or whether everything's kind of going back to normal.
You are still bubble-fied, but it seems to be expanding in the direction she's walking.
Gonna run after her a little bit, go, don't leave me in a bubble.
She ignores your urgency and just starts talking again. You must master what it means to be you, what it means to be yourself. Heart, mind, spirit, soul, consciousness. These are all words that mean the same thing, regardless of whether or not you are able to sense them together or apart. When a person's spirit is cast into the ethereal plane, they take with them their mind, no? The heart, perhaps not so much, it remains in your physical vessel beating away and pumping blood. But it is the essence of your heart that you carry with you. Your ethereal self does not immediately cease to care for your friends and family, no? You do not suddenly forget who you are. So you see, all that matters is the immaterial substance, the true definition of self. Once you have mastered the self, you can master the key. And when you have mastered the key, you can master the universe. While you're thinking about how to respond, you look down for a second because you're just clearly confused, like, what the hell is this what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And when you look up, she's gone, and the bubble's faded. But you do hear her voice one more time. Master the self.
Why do women just keep disappearing?
And I've literally just realised, as I'm going to wrap this up, that this is the third time out of 4 that I've had some random old person give you really weird advice.
And it's the first time for many times that she's going to hear a voice in her head, but this time she's kind of just darks for a second. It's like, what is going on?
I genuinely didn't even realise I'd done that until I just finished because I'm an idiot. I need to stop doing that. But yeah, I thought we'd give a little tease into maybe an avenue through which Amnesty might get her monk level.
Cool. I like it.
And also, obviously, I left it open-ended because, like I said, it could be tomorrow, next week, or in many years' time.
Please.
It's up to you.
Cool. I like it.
We'll have to have a chat about where that goes.
Yeah.
But that is that. I thought I'd give it a bit of a cultural twist on key. Hopefully I didn't toe any lines of, being insensitive. If I did, I didn't mean to. Just going to say that straight up. Did you like?
I did. That was fun.
Okay, good. Again, I don't feel like you really did anything, but still.
That's okay.
Did you enjoy your cutscene?
I did. It was good. I realised that I still haven't quite pinned down Amnesty's voice, though, and I really need to get on that.
But I do believe that wraps us up.
Yeah.
I always say goodbye. You say goodbye.
Thank you everybody for listening. This is a great time on Roleplay and Replay, and now we're going to leave, so goodbye. This is why I don't do the endings.
Amazing. I don't know what we're talking about. It's fine. Bye.
Bye.
I might get him a bit because I'm sometimes too quiet. I should just remember to always talk loudly. Ha!
Ha ha!
And also stop moving. Also, my mic isn't even facing my face.
Why isn't your mic facing your face?
Oh, it's facing the ceiling for some reason.
God, you're so loud. I need to turn you down.
I'm used to that reaction from women.
Fucking hell.
Got him.
Oh dear.